and we will understand the meaning of being spiritual. So I want you to imagine with me that every nature, every kind of nature will be filled with its own, and you cannot fill something with another thing if it's not accepting it. What kind of nature we are, then we are able to understand what kind of possibilities for us to be filled with, and with what. So if we go back to our nature, we're not dust and we're not spirit at the same time. We are not either, no, but we're both. And that's why when God took the dust, the mud, and then the dust itself is not a human being. The form that God molded a human being is not a human being. Dust is not human. And at the same time, the breath of God, also, without the dust, would not form a human being. It would be always a spirit. So our humanity is paradoxal. We're dust and spirit at the same time. We are here and there at the same time. We are contained and we are much more at the same time. So that kind of openness and being here, and at the same time we have the ability to go there with our mind, with our spirit, to open up. So we're small and big at the same time. So that's why our understanding of being dust and spirit, earth and spirit, breath of God, is very important to understand that this is our humanity. That's why when God wanted to create human beings, He created them on what? Image and likeness? Both? Right? No. This is what we are always thinking. Then we miss our responsibility. If you read in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, you will find it there that God is saying that let's create human being, let's create man on our image and likeness. And then in verse 27, then God created human being, then God created man. On the image of God, He created them. Full stop. He repeated. He created them on the image of God. That's it. And where did the likeness went? He wanted to create us on the image and the likeness. Image means nature. That you're giving a character, you're giving a certain nature. And likeness means that you behave like the same way that you wanted, you are working on it. So that's why God created us on His image, and He gave us a responsibility to be His likeness. Then we are filled. So our emptiness comes from when we are able to avoid and to live without the form of the likeness. We will carry all the time the image. That's very normal. Every human being in the world, every human being, they have the image of God. Every human being. But not every human being will have the likeness. Then we didn't understand. So what do we need to bring the likeness in our hearts and to be in this likeness? So it's a very important thing. There's something that God is always helping us with, And there is other things that we need to work on it. There are the things that we have the responsibility to work on it. So the first thing that God is helping us with, that He became human, so He took the form, the shape of a human being, so we can relate to Him, to that form, to that nature. Because when we think that God is a spirit, and then a human being has a nature of being earth and spirit, being in that form, then we could not relate to Him the same way, even though it's in us from the first thing, from the beginning, we have the admiration of God, the fantasy, the being amazed by God Himself. I want you to imagine with me, if you are the first person, the first human being, whether you are a woman or a man, because it's the same experience. You know that? God has given the same experience to the man, to Adam, and the same experience to the woman, to Eve. The same experience was like what? When God took the human being, it's a form of mud, has no feelings, has no life, and then what God did, He breathed in. So then the first breath then became a human being, a man, Adam. What was the first experience of Adam? It was God Himself. He was amazed by God. He was amazed and admired the Creator. This is the first experience, the first love, the first relationship, the first admiration, the first amazement. And that's why, and the first example that he saw. And that's why God didn't create Eve while Adam was there at the same time with him. He put Adam to sleep, and He took the rib, and He formed the woman, and it's the same experience. Breathe. And then, when the woman just started to see, the first experience was what? Was God. The first admiration was God. The first relationship, everything is the same experience. That's why here, we as human beings has a responsibility to admire, to be amazed, to build this relationship and saying, how do I know that? Then human beings fail to understand that spirit. Then Christ was incarnate to give a human being the example of a human being who can live the same example and do the things, and then we are amazed by this. Let me tell you a story, just to bring this example and this is a real story. And it's but I will tell half of the story, and then we'll see what the end will be. A little girl, like 4 years old, her mother was playing with her, and they had on the table some apples. So this little girl took one apple in one hand, and then she stretched her hand and took the other apple. So now she had in her two hands 2 apples. So her mother wanted to play with her, and she said, give me one. And it was very heartbreaking to the woman that the girl did not want to get her neither. Not this one or not that one. She tried to embrace her and try to bring her in and try to persuade her to give her one, and she refused. And the girl did something really strange. Then she made like this. She took a bite from that one and quickly took the bite from the other one. So now, both of them. You see here? If you look at this woman, this girl, what do you feel if she does that with you? You will definitely say that she's greedy, she's naughty, she's whatever. But wait a moment. This woman just went away, and she has been thinking, how could I deal with my daughter? She's so greedy, she's so bad, and she didn't really like her. And then, just a few moments, and then the little girl came to her mother with one apple and said, Mom, take this apple, I tasted for you, this is the best. How do you think of this girl? So here, this is the same time. And admiration happens when we are able to discover the depth of the intention of the other people around us. And that's why, if you look at our relationship with God, we will never build a relationship unless we understand how He did with us and His intention for us, and then we are amazed by His intention. In the beginning, maybe sometimes we look at Him and say, why He did that, why He did that. Like this woman looked at this girl, why she did that, why she ate from this and she ate from that, and she thought that the girl is greedy. But when she discovered that the little girl loved her so much, and she wanted to taste the apple, and she wanted to give her the best. The mother loved the girl. The mother loved her daughter much more than she thought, and she respected her even more. And if you take this story, a strange story, but still, if we take it to our own personal life, and we see how many times we misunderstand God. That's why we are not admiring Him that much, because we didn't understand. So here, Jesus wanted us to understand His humanity and how He dealt with us, and we see His intention, and we see how much He did for us, and then we will be amazed by this relationship. We need to admire what God has done for us. And that's why the first step is to understand how much He did for you personally. There are many things that we are able to have, but there are many times we misunderstand why we are here, why we have done what we have done, why. And that's the point that I want to make for you. This is the first, to be admire God. Admire Him, be amazed by His presence. And this would never come unless you build a relationship with Him. When God wanted to give us something, when you want to give your friends something, a gift, what kind of gift you wanted to give to your friends? You start to think your relationship with this friend, who is this person, and how much you have, how much you can spend on that other person, and you have lots of factors. When you choose a gift, you have lots of factors in there. But what is God's way of thinking when He wanted to give us something? Mccoyc expressed that by saying that God wanted to give you according to the richness of His glory. So when I think, what is the richness of the glory of God? Then He wanted to give you this according to that. We human beings wanted to give ourselves things according to different factors. But when God wanted to give you, He wanted to give you according to the richness of His glory. And what is this richness of His glory of God? We never know. We don't understand. You have to experience it. You have to look at it. And then St. Paul continued, and that would be not in the outside, not in the body. He wanted to empower you with might in your inner person. The inner person in us, that's the form of what? The breath of God. That's inside us. And that means there is a kind of power, there is a kind of amazement that we will discover inside us, being human, and this humanity that we have, we will see greatness in there. And then he would follow up with that, but look, you would not be able to discover that unless you are able to discover something much more. And that's what, when Christ dwells in you, you will be able to understand what? To understand the love of Christ for us. And when you are able to understand the love of Christ for you, then you will be filled with the fullness of God. Imagine, do you think you can be filled with the fullness of God? Do you imagine that? That you are all filled with the fullness of God. The word is too big, right? It's too big. But this is the reality. That's why I want to tell you that to be amazed by the gift of God for us. This you will find in Ephesians 3. You will find what I said now in Ephesians 3. I think they have the other one, the other lecture board. So in Ephesians 3, he's talking about. So every time, okay, let's have an amazement. Okay, So here we have, God wants to give you according to the richness. God wants you to understand and to understand His love. And when you are able to understand His love, you will be filled with the fullness of God. And then what happened to us? You will be able to do much more. He will give you much more than you think or ask for, according to the power that's working. And that's the system that to build up a form of your own humanity, that you will be able to see that my link, my connection to God, I'm amazed by Him, I admire Him, I'm filled with Him, then I can do much more than I can imagine or can I ask for. And that's why the people of God who understood that, they did great things, and we look at them and say, how could you do that? Sometimes I look at all those people that you hear the stories of, and I say, how could you do that? When I see Moses, and I ask him, how could you do that? Or Daniel, or the three young men, or Peter, or Paul, or St. Mark, or all these people, how could you do that? And it's nothing but simply to understand the greatness of your humanity. Being the image of God, being the temple of the Spirit, being in the love of God, being filled with Him, and that means you are able to do much more. So don't think of yourself that you are able without Him. And all the time I give the analogy of this telephone. Always, the cell phone is a very good example for us. Imagine you have a good telephone and there is no network around. What would you do with it?